Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're cracking open some incredible data that reveals a massive widening gap between what the typical person is saving and what's actually required to reach true financial independence. We're going to break it all down so you know exactly where you stand.
Here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the sheer power of 401ks. Then, we'll take a chronological journey through your 20s, mastering behavior, your 30s, bridging the gap, your 40s, compounding takes over, and finally, your 50s and beyond. All right, Section 1, the power of 401ks, your wealth-building machine. Before we get into specific ages, we really need to understand why the 401k is the ultimate tool in your wealth-building arsenal. It's not just a savings account. It's an automated machine with incredible tax advantages and often free employer match money. And to reach the financial finish line, you don't just want a random pile of cash. You need targeted multipliers of your income. The golden rule here? You want to aim for 1 times your annual income saved by age 30, 3 times by 40, and 6.4 times by 50. Ultimately, the macro goal is 20 times your annual income by age 65.
But wow, here is a shocking reality check. 40 cents out of every single dollar disappears due to premature early withdrawals from leaky 401ks. When people change jobs or hit a bump in the road, they pull this money out early. Listen, this leakiness is an absolute threat to your compounding growth and those lifetime multipliers we just talked about. Moving on to Section 2, your 20s, mastering behavior, laying the groundwork. This is the era where your habits matter far more than your actual paycheck. And here's the good news: if you're a median earner making around $41,000, the gap between the average 401k balance at age 30, which is just over 37 grand, and the ideal goal of about $41,400 is actually incredibly small. You're practically neck and neck. Honestly, this is largely thanks to employer matches doing the heavy lifting for you early on. But you absolutely have to start now, because the math behind the wealth multiplier is just wild. For a 20-year-old, every single dollar you invest can turn into $88 by retirement. Think about that, $88. If you start saving early enough, 95% of your final $1 million portfolio could literally be pure growth. You're building an army of dollar bills to do the work so you don't have to. So how do you win this decade? The action plan is simple but critical. Keep your financial footprint small. Live below your means, and please avoid the trap of credit card debt to fund a lifestyle you can't afford yet. And whatever you do, make sure you are capturing every single penny of your employer match. The average match is 4.7%. That is free money you just can't afford to walk away from. Okay, Section 3, your 30s, bridging the gap, getting serious about savings. Now, the training wheels are officially off. Your employer match won't carry you entirely anymore. And without those training wheels, a pretty dangerous chasm starts opening up. By age 40, the median income is closer to $60,000. So your ideal target is around $179,000. But the average saver, they're sitting at just about $97,000. They fall nearly $80,000 behind. This just proves you have to start generating your own momentum. Since your 30s usually involve navigating career changes and boosting your income, you have got to understand your vesting schedule. There are usually 3 types. You've got Safe Harbor, where you keep the match immediately, a Cliff Vest, where you get nothing until you hit a certain anniversary like year 3, or a Graded Vest that drips out over time. You need to know these rules. Imagine walking away from a job a month early and accidentally leaving thousands of dollars behind. No way. To bridge that growing gap, your game plan shifts. Try to optimize your savings rate to hit 25% of your gross income. Also, as your income grows, take a hard look at whether you should shift from Roth contributions over to pre-tax to manage those higher tax brackets. And, like we just said, double-check those vesting rules before making any big career leaps. Next up, Section 4, your 40s. Compounding takes over, the crucial turning point. This is the decade where your early decisions really start heavily compounding, for better or worse, and the danger of delaying becomes painfully obvious here. By age 50, a median earner needs 6.4 times their salary, about $461,000, but the average saver only has $190,000. They have less than half of what's required to stay on track. That gap has become a canyon. So how do we fix this canyon? You have to leverage your peak earning years. Looking at 2026, the maximum salary deferral limit for a 401k is $24,500. That is just over $2,000 a month. If you're staring down that massive gap, you should absolutely be aiming to max this limit out. Your 40s action plan requires laser focus. If you make over 100K single or 200K married, actually stop counting the employer match as part of your 25% goal. You need to carry that weight yourself now. Push to max out those deferrals. And here's a big one. If early retirement is a dream of yours, start building after-tax assets. You can't easily touch a 401k or IRA right away, so you'll definitely need a bridge account. There's a quote from our sources that just hits the nail on the head. If you do it right, you get to do it light. If you do it wrong, you got to do it long. If you let compounding do the heavy lifting in your 20s and 30s, your 50s are going to feel like a breeze. But if you put it off, you're going to have to work way harder, save way more aggressively, and frankly, work much longer.
Which brings us to Section 5, your 50s and beyond, landing the plane safely.
This is the critical phase where we focus on utilizing government lifelines and touching down safely. Because the reality of missing this landing, it's pretty staggering. At age 65, aiming for that 20x multiplier on a median income means you need over $1.4 million. But the average 65-year-old is sitting at just $271,000. They are short by over $1 million. This is exactly why we can't let our accounts leak and why taking action early is absolutely crucial. But listen, if you are facing that gap in your 50s, the government throws you a massive lifeline. In 2026, there's a supercharged catch-up limit. If you are strictly age 60 to 63, you can funnel up to $35,750 into your 401k in a single year. That is your chance to sprint right across the finish line.
And here is a literal game changer if you want to retire early. The rule of 55. If you separate from service in the year you turn 55 or later, you can pull money from that specific employer's 401k completely penalty-free. It's an incredible bridge for people who want out of the workforce early but can't yet touch their IRAs until they're 59 and a half.
So, your final checklist is straightforward. Aggressively use those catch-up limits. Look into the rule of 55 if early retirement is on your radar. And please critically evaluate your portfolio's risk allocation. Your investments shouldn't look the same at 55 as they did at 25. You need to be protected enough to survive market volatility before and during retirement.
So, what does this all mean for you right now? Look at your current decade. Identify your target multiplier. Are you at 1x by 30, 3x by 40, 6.4x by 50? You really have to ask yourself, what specific changes do you need to make today with your savings rate, your debt, and your investments to guarantee you don't fall into the average trap? The path to financial independence is right here in front of you. Are you ready to take the next step?